All right. I'm gonna have to let the dogs in a few minutes, but one of them's demanding I go outside with them right now, and I'm like, no, I'm ready to start streaming. I'm ready to start working on the game again. And I've got this really fucking annoying piece that I have to take care of before I can add anything new in. And that's going to be fixing how I load the textures. So I'm going to explain what the problem is, and then I'm going to get like real quiet and annoyed while I work on stuff. But we're going to jam out the music so it won't be too bad. And I've got coffee here, and there's like a donut and a half and some kolaches in the kitchen. And I've got everything I need to keep myself, energized to knock this out. And I'd really like to sooner rather than later. It's going to be really impossible for any reasonable speed of development if the game takes as long to build as it currently does every single time that I make changes to it. So, to demonstrate what the problem is, let's see. Take a look at this. This is my game's build time over time as it's increased at various points. So in the very beginning, you could see that there were some very small increases here and there, but it relatively stayed under 1 second for the majority of the development process. However, at this point, I had this genius idea to take a look at this function that's available to raylib that is export image as code, right? So let's see. So here's the implementation of this function that I'm using, right? It's called export image as code, and it's part of raylib. And what it allows you to do is you can feed it a file name and an image that you load in, and it converts it into a series of byte sequences and writes out a .h file with certain pound defined macros that allows you to access a handful of properties such as the width, the height, and the format of the image, which are all needed in order to manually construct a an image that way, and then you can load it like load texture from that image. So I'm actually doing this. Um, so let's take a look at libgame, and what I'm doing to do that currently. So I have this thing that's image data packs, and a lot of the information here is pulled directly from the generated .h files. And I did this in order to like try and create like a loop or something that I would be able to very easily access things. So like if I want to load the dirt tile, for instance, then I have a whole pack defined right here. That's essentially just a small struct consistent of a few integers and then like a pointer to some data. So image data pack is defined right here. They have like 6 ints and then a pointer, right? And you can use this information to load a texture from memory as opposed to disk. And when I realized that, I thought that was kind of clever because I was considering how do I actually package my assets for distribution when time comes for me to like build and ship a binary. Now, for the web build, this doesn't matter, and that's one reason I'm kind of stoked about rewriting this code and getting it back in and realizing, in situations like this, you should really not delete the code, just comment it out. Because then you can just flip things on and off at will. One of the places I previously worked at had a coding policy where we were not allowed to leave commented code in the code base. And while this can be good for like cleanliness sake, I think in the midst of development or something that's like not something that you're like actively bug fixing, but like something that you're actually growing, sometimes it might actually pay to have code commented out as opposed to removing it entirely, because you never know when you might need to go back and reuse it. You don't want to commit necessarily unless you're absolutely sure that you're done with that code, and I wasn't, and I deleted it and I hate myself for it. But thankfully it's not that much, so we're going to get in and rewrite it. I've already created a new repo for this. And part of the process of doing this is that we're no longer going to be using image data packs. So things are going to break in the very beginning here. We're not using anim type yet. As you can see, we just got a ton of errors up in the top right there. So so we have this function load texture from data pack, and this is pretty generic. We can like leave this in here, and then good thing I still have the original load texture function in the system, but load textures calls load textures from data, which is now broken. So part of this whole process is we're gonna comment out load textures from data. Perfect. So load textures from data is gone. And we're gonna have to replace it with a load textures from disk. Which we have not defined yet. So we're going to go and open up libgame.h. Now I want to write a actually first we're going to change this to load texture from disk. So we actually didn't have it in the .h file to begin with. I'd already deleted it, but I'd never removed the body. This is yet another reason. That was a kind of inconsistent state of the code base. Glad I caught that. So we need a load textures from disk. So I have the textures.txt, the original one I opened still. And in the very beginning, we're only going to be doing these first three. The name of this is actually dirt_00. This is actually human underscore idle. And this is actually human idle shadow with underscores. So from load textures from disk, here's the file format. Texture key, context, frames, do dithering, and then the path, right? So we have to essentially read each line of this file. If it begins with a hashtag, we're going to ignore it. Otherwise, we're going to fscan f 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values. Just making sure there's no extraneous characters at the end there. I'm going to let the dogs in. Okay. Donuts on deck. Coffee on the ready. I can lower my... No, why did they do that? That's silly. See, like, this is just dumb. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. Actually, maybe we need to fget it first and then rip out the values from there. Oh. There we are. No, why does it keep doing that? That's stupid. int index equals -1. Line begins with, there we go. Why does it keep doing token? This is not at all what I want to fucking do. We could just read it in as an int. Yeah, scanf. Is that right? Is this safe? That looks right. This is what I want, I think. So at the very end, we're of course gonna have to B0 out the line before we read it in again. We also, let's see, path. We don't need to redeclare it every time, but we do need to B0 it. All right, so that built. So this is like one of the attempts towards creating a mapping. And at some point I need to change the names of these texture keys to human as opposed to hero. Yeah. So like all those would become human as well. So very beginning we would just load the dirt and the idle texture, but none of the others would even be referenceable. As you can see, texture keys can't find anything. Oh, and there we go. Because at some, like, I don't even think I'm actually using hero keys yet. Oh, I was using it here to create the hero sprite group. And then yeah, here. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Now, I guess just for completion's sake, we might as well get the other stuff in here, right? Like for human. Okay, so we updated our file names there. So in the very beginning, we can at least do that much, and we will turn off the randomizing tile demo test key switch, whatever thing, just for a moment. Yeah, since we're no longer using image data packs, it's actually building a lot faster again. I'm scared to run it. Watch something break. Oh yeah, big crash. Looping through sprite keys. 2024. Okay, so I got through the first two, which is a good start. But oh yeah, that's right. We have to update the numbers, right? We're not going to worry about work and all this stuff down here yet, because these numbers will probably change. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that corresponds to this mapping here. I wish I had an easier way to do this. I figure using integers is faster than strings, but like it becomes tricky if you wanted to like try and use strings and then speed it up. So I figure this is faster. Okay, so of course texture keys is yelling because we got rid of orc keys. Uh, 1973. You know what? We'll leave orc in here. So in libgame defines, we're going to put orc back in. But I'm not loading it in, so I want to disable It's a test enemy placement key for the moment. And we got it back. So we're loading from disk again. Everything's loading real fast. This is a checkpoint. Got. Okay. Step 1 complete. Let's check the chats. I don't think anyone's chatting. Hey, bro, could you help me with assembly code? Oh, shit. I possibly could. I can't claim to be an expert on assembly, but I've done a little bit in a handful of different CPU architectures. I've done some MIPS back in college, as well as helping a couple students out that I was tutoring. I've also done a little x86. I've also done a little ARM. I can't claim to be an expert in any of them, but it all is just relative to what you're working on and what you need help with. So if you're actually asking for real help, you can reach out to me on Twitter and we can talk and see what I can do. I do private lessons and tutoring sessions. So if there's something that you're actually interested in learning and want a more one-on-one kind of environment, more than happy to help. If there's something that you would like to see streamed or gone over in a streaming session, more than happy to do that as well. Just as a reminder, I do take Prime, and you can definitely hit that follow, subscribe button and share with all your friends. Anything to help the stream out, appreciate it. So looks like only a handful of drop frames at the probably at the beginning of the stream, so we're doing okay. Let's get back to it. Now we've got the first handful of textures loading. Let's go back into the textures.txt and make sure that Orcs numbers sync up with their new defines, which I know they don't at the moment. So we're gonna go ahead and pull out all of the orc texture here, put it up here, uncomment everything out. Let's see. $13, $14, $15, $16, $17, $18, $19, $20, $21, $22, $23, $24, $25, $26. Actually, the nice thing about the way that the files are being loaded at the moment, maybe I can actually have white space. I believe this is 14. Yeah, 14. Okay, so 26 is orc damage shadow. 26 is orc damage shadow. Very good. So that's synced up at the moment. Also, as a reminder, if anyone actually wants to participate in chat, you can do so on Twitch. There you go. So now that that's synced up, we should be able to get the enemy back in rather easily. Before I do, I want to run the previous build. Yeah, we have attacks. We can also go back to idle. So that's good. Can't wait to get block in. It's going to be good. It's going to make the game feel really good. It'll also be good practice for like extending a sprite, right? Like I want to be able to like add animations to a sprite. And essentially all that's going to be now is just adding a new key location for the texture, adding its relative entry in the textures file. As you can see, we have one for each animation. Oh yeah, we also have to update this. Okay, so that's good. Not human, orc. So like theoretically in the future, if I were to add one to orc as well, and I like, because I'm going to have a bunch of tiles in between here, like we want to be able to arbitrarily add a new tile or a new sprite animation for whatever asset or whatever entity just by defining a new texture key and then creating a mapping to that here in this file. Because if we do that much, then we can catch it, a ride on it when all of the assets load. So like, as we, later down the line, reintroduce all these tiles, which will be like maybe in less than 15 minutes or something like that. We like for instance later on, if I wanted to have like an orc block, all I'd have to do is add a pound define orc block after all this shit in a new location. And so long as we have enough room in our textures array where we're actually reading all this stuff in, which is well, we have two things. We have a texture thing. I believe it's in the game state. Yeah, texture info needs to be greatly expanded. Size of text info array. We'll make it 200 for right now. Or 255. Once I get to that many different assets, like the game's going to be really popping, right? So this should really sustain us until then. And I don't think I plan on, well, we'll see. We'll see how much room it takes up in memory to have all of that stuff loaded. All of the all of the assets are like really small. So like they take up like so little space. So like the human idol animation, right, is 1.5 kilobytes. Most of it's white space. The shadow is 519 bytes, and that's mostly white space. So just having that animation in memory is pretty cheap. So having all of those animations in memory is pretty cheap. Even this whole directory alone is only 124 kilobytes. So it's pretty fucking small, which means we can have a lot of stuff in memory. What isn't as big, this is why I was taking so long to build, is doing everything from the .h file perspective, which may or may not have some benefits down the line, but it's the kind of situation where you're really only going to want to build once. So this should be something that would be done at the very end of the development process, if ever. Like, we might even find a better solution along the way, and I plan to, if I have to make it myself. So, but for the web build, this doesn't, it won't matter for like loading stuff from disk, because of the way that Inscriptin packages everything together. And actually I need to attach Inscriptin to our build stats so that we can get some feedback on that. Let's verify to make sure that the way that we're initializing the array is still good. So text info, we actually do nothing to deal with that. Interesting. I guess we just like do a hard assign, and then we're never actually enumerating texture info. We only ever directly access it because we're actually manually specifying which indices in the array we're accessing, which is probably okay, but we have to be very careful about that. Because like, they are real texture infos. So like a text info object is this. So I think texture 2D is actually an alias to a pointer. I'm not 100%. I've got, let's see. Over here I can do texture 2D. So texture is a type def to a regular texture, which is, it contains an OpenGL texture ID. So this is a rather inexpensive object to have in memory as well. So it frames context texture ID, which maps to an OpenGL texture, so it's actually open in video memory. Followed by 128 bytes for a path, which is probably more than plenty. Are we ready to test placing an enemy? Oh, wait. Yay, enemy's back. Uh-oh, but damage didn't work. Wait. Yeah, it did. Okay. That worked still. Awesome. Let's see. Now it's time for the rest of the textures, right? And then we'll probably be good to take a break and then start planning on how we're going to get block in there for both the enemy and the player, so that the player can block, the enemy can block. We're going to get enemy attacks in so that we can create a back and forth where the player, does what the player does, and then the enemy can randomly choose not just movement but also attacking. Should be fucking cool. So, tiles, right? We've got this many at least. I remember I introduced some stone walls recently. I think like quite a bit actually. Stone wall up to, so we have 15 stone walls. 1, 2. And then I believe we also have 3 grass. Oh, 5. All right, first let's update the paths and then assign them all sequential IDs. Okay, we've updated the paths. 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 39, 38, 39, 40, 14, 44. Okay. All right. That's half the battle. So the other half is making sure that these values line up in the lib game defines. So we're doing stone, stone wall, and grass. Oh, and there's also more dirt tiles that I need to add in as well. But let's do these first. All right, 30. Copilot's not bad right now. See, we just did stone. $62. Fuck. Oh, oops. Too many. Wait. All right, stone 13's 40. Stone wall 14 should be 55. Oh, no. And then grass 5 should be 61. My math is off here somewhere. All right, so stonewall 9 should be 50. Okay. So stonewall 14 is 55. Oh, I got one too many grasses. Yeah. There we go. It's a lovely file, huh? God damn, that's ugly. I can't wait till this file is so big that it necessitates, like, you know, coming up with a fucking binary file format. Like, find a way to read it faster. Alright, so we just added in tiles, right? So all the textures get loaded in, and then we haven't even factored grass in here yet. Also, yeah, we're gonna have to re-enable the translation between tile type and texture key, right? That's the main way that we're able to like select which tile we need to draw when we're actually rendering the dungeon. So we also need grass 0, 0. While we're here, how many new dirt tiles do I have? Okay, we have 6 total. All right, dirt 1, dirt 2, dirt 3, dirt 4, dirt 5. One, two, three, four, 5. All right. I believe that loads up all the tiles, but now we need to double check. Hit TX key for tile type. And then we also need to double check tile types. Okay, so we've got our 6 dirt, our 5 grass, our 14 stone, and our 15 stone wall. So there's several cases we still have to handle here. Now, we don't have a stone wall 15, but we do have tile type grass. Okay, that built. This is good. The moment of truth is upon us. Now I have to test to see that works. Oh, we disabled the space key earlier, remember? Uh-oh. Key not found for tile type 7. At 00? 656. 575, huh? Interesting. What's tile type 7? I guess dirt 5. Oh. Huh. Oh, that makes wait. Image tiles dirt. Now we got a dirt 5 there. Did it error out on anything during the load? Oh, it's trying to open some empty files. Okay. Oh, and then it's seg faults. Uh-oh. Oh. Dungeon free. Oh, dungeon floor free. Wait. Game state free. Oh yeah, no, the game state's probably tripping balls at this point because something hasn't been properly done yet. Uh Okay. We'll get to that. Key not found on 1304. we need to make sure that those are synced up. That the tile type in the Lua corresponds with the tile type as we've defined it. Dirt 3. Okay. Yeah, the order is totally different. Transaction key for tile type. Right? So dirt 1, 2. Oh, we never implemented the other ones up here. 3, 4, 5. Aha, yes. And the original code for the stone wall is working correctly. Now, it's not randomly generating all of them yet. And that should be just a matter of me fixing some of the Lua. So in randomize dungeon tiles, we're only selecting up to stone wall 0, 0, when instead we should really select up to grass 4, right? Oops. So now to refresh the game without it reloading on us, or at least without, you know, whatever, being able to use the, we're using hot reload. And the new stone walls are appearing. Of course, we can walk on top of them because I haven't written code to prevent us from doing that in the Lua. So now, of course, some of the placements of the walls don't really seem to look very logical at the moment, and that's because the way that they're presented on the sprite sheet, like the asset sheet that's given to me, arranges things in certain ways. And so if I wanted to create like really good structures using the stone wall tiles, then I'm going to have to like predefine locations and things like this. Not to mention relative appearance and how certain things like walking underneath a like an arch or something, for instance, would work. I'm not sure how I'm going to end up implementing something like that here. But we could even tweak this right now so that like instead of doing from dirt to dirt or dirt to that, we could do from dirt to something else. Like from dirt, we could do from dirt 0 to dirt 5. We could also do grass 0, 0, grass 0, 4. So now we're doing all grass, right? And this looks like it could be cool over time. Now, just to fuck around a little bit, is we could do dirt as well. I don't know how well the dirt tiles are going to mesh in with the existing dirt tiles, but yeah, it looks kind of grody. The default ones that I start the room out in are of my own design, and they don't look nearly as good. Not to mention, I think that we did dithering on these when we load them in. So actually, we could turn dithering off for these and just dither mine. And actually, if we wanted to do one better and omit mine from the selection process, we could select from dirt 1 up to dirt 5 instead. So now it's all the mini fantasy asset. And the orcs look pretty good on top of it. Word. So this is a closer step towards us really procedurally generating the whole dungeon atmosphere and environment. So like one thing I could do just for funsies right now, actually before I continue, I should really commit this code. And actually, let's go ahead and merge this with the new branch. Delete the old branch. And we're good. Whew. That was a shot, man. But we did it. And now let's take a look at how the build stats have changed. Saw how fast that shit was? Oh, that was so nice. As we can see, the build, let's see. I think, yeah, we're down to one second after having gone up to 4. So this is actually really good. So we just made the build time drop significantly since last time. Now there's something else that's chunking us down a little bit here. I'm not sure what it would be right out the gate, but Hmm. Data packs. Hmm. Ah. Okay, we already commented out, so that's good. It's pretty fast now. Managed to shave off a little time there. Hopefully we can get it, down to less than a second. Probably in virtue of having all of these includes. Some of which we may not even be directly using. Oh yay, we got it below a second. Hell yeah. Oh, that's super awesome. Oh, that's a great way to finish off this stream. Um this is what Evil Dojo is all about right here. It's figuring out why this happened and then getting back to where we were at as close as we can and then continuing on. And that way we keep things as low and smooth and fast as possible. Now, I probably shouldn't quit because we do have this new crash that's occurring. So let's verify that crash is still occurring. Oh, it's not. This is fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's all working super good. Yeah, this is a good this is a fucking phenomenal place to finish things off. Shout out to everyone who tunes in. This will of course be up here pretty soon, but also not very many dropped frames, which is also fucking fantastic. What a great hour work session. I was really dreading to have to do that, but it really wasn't that bad. And I think a lot of it is because I talked my way through it and made actionable steps at every point. Also, I had some of the code already ready to go at the very onset, which is great. I'm going to talk about next steps and just kind of mentally prepare myself, because now that we're in this position again, we can take a look at like actually adding in new assets again, without like exploding the build time. So we've defined up to 65, 66 total sprites and textures, right? 65 total textures. So let's say we want to add a block animation for the player, right? Let's see here. There we go. So let's say we want, because I know I want to do this. This is like one of the very next things that I want to do and have in the game to make it a more dynamic and fun experience and get it closer towards what combat will actually be like, and be able to start scaling it from there. So we even have one for Orc, which is great. So this is just the character itself, but imagine, if you will, and this is where one of the more nitty gritty aspects of like dynamic sprite generation is going to be coming from, is I will be using these pre-made assets, but by layering them together, like for instance, the way we're doing shadows at the moment, right? So we've got this orc. Let's say we pull open human as well. And take wooden shield to start with. So here's the front of the shield, and here's the back. So this is the back. This is the front. So let's take this one. Actually, we'll take the whole sheet and add it to one of these as a new layer, just to demonstrate the concept. So this is like the orc with a shield, right? And we can do the same thing for our character over here. So you see how like he's now got a shield on top, and this would be like a blocking animation for these different contexts. So it's not like he would have the shield out all the time. So I think it would be pretty cool find a way to be able to do that. But at least when you press the B button, or like, because A is attack, B might be block, and that way you can have your your pinky on your left hand on A, and then you have your index on B, and then you could have your other hand on the arrow keys or the numpad, and then there's a pretty strong back and forth, and it could be mapped to an NES controller pretty easily. And I think this is a good target for at least the very beginning of this whole game development journey. Let's take a look at the other shields. Now, one thing with the wooden shield too in the back aspect, actually, yeah, we'll take a look at that too, is, so shift in for new layer. As you notice, we can't see anything in the bottom, on the bottom for this sheet. So we're going to create another layer for the back component. But as we can see, for the back component, this layer needs to actually go below the main layer for it to look correct. Why he split it up into two sheets like this, I'm not 100%, but I guess it's just due to the way that things render. But you would obviously, if you have a shield, have to render the back layer first in case he happens to be facing in that direction, because then the if he's not, you got all this transparent space, so you can just, you won't have to like edge case your code to see what direction they're facing. You just have to remember the order you have to draw things. So in this case, like, you would draw this layer first, followed by this layer, and then followed by the top layer. So when we read in the sprite sheets, like when we actually translate this over to here, we're gonna have, wooden shield front, wooden shield back, and then human guard shadow. And then we'll have to update the drawing code if they happen to be blocking, right? So like with attack at the moment, because it's all, there's no like additional layer that we have to work with. All we have to do is set the animation on the entity to attack, right? Then when we actually draw everything, it selects the so like if there's a shadow, it draws the shadow first. When time comes to handle blocking with shield, also need to draw the back component of the shield first before drawing the entity. Draw the main entity sprite. Oh, this isn't gonna work unless this is true. Glad I caught that. That was an unseen bug. Okay. No, not entity's weapon. If player or NPC and is blocking, so draw the front component of the shield. In the beginning, we'll just draw like the main wooden shield, but then we'll go back later and, you know, once we actually properly implement picking up items and things like this, there will be a one-to-one component, but in the beginning we'll just be testing to make sure that that all that works, and then we'll drop the sword back in there. You'll be able to pick up the sword. You won't be able to attack until you have picked up the sword, and you won't be able to block until you've picked up the shield. So we'll also have an animation for the orc, of course. We'll get it working for the player first, then the orc, and then we'll get into the mechanics of blocking. So, like, I'll start off rewriting the entity code to, like, always block, right? So that we can test it, and then we'll introduce the block back into random motions. I also just noticed that this stream is fucking 60 FPS, and it's been pushing okay the whole time. Fucking amazing. But alas, I don't want to push myself too hard. I think I've reasoned through what's coming next, but I do need to recharge. It's 5 p.m. Central, which means it's coming up on doggo dinner time and also human dinner time. I keep thinking to myself at the end of the day, I'm getting fucking old and I gotta put myself down to bed early in order to actually like get anything done. Early for me last night was 2 in the morning. And even then I started like actively working towards bed like at around 11 p.m. It just takes me a long time to shut down. Not to mention, like, the last thing I have to do before I go to bed is take my baby out to go pee pee, because otherwise she might wet the bed. And while I do have bed covers now, anything I can do to avoid having to do laundry is always a good thing. Not to mention, I hate her having to wait too long to go use the bathroom. So I can see this stream is clipping out a bit, so might as well call it here, everyone. Evil Dojo signing.